Hey everyone, welcome back for another ASOTU Edge webinar. I'm really excited about today. We are here with our friends Upstart. We're going to be talking about the importance of having a connected auto retailing platform. We're going to be joined by Kyle Mountseer and Michael Cirillo, who's going to be filling in for our very own Paul J. Daly, who's having some family time. And we're also going to be joined on the Upstart side by Danielle Mills-Walden. She is the Director of Dealer Success, and Lou Tillahoon. He is the GM of Orange Park Mitsubishi. So we're going to be hearing all about how he's partnered with Upstart to really change the game in his dealership, drive their store to a top 20 and be one of the fastest growing stores in the country. So I'm going to hand it on over now.
Today's car buyers demand a modern customer experience. Connect with Upstart Auto Retail to deliver the experience they deserve.
All right, Cirillo. Like 23 years ago, some dude, well, actually, it's probably like, it was 1997 because Jason Rice told me that he invented the internet. And someone was like, this digital thing, it may catch on one day. And so we created internet managers and internet people, and we made BDCs, and we're like, you might need a website. So some people put some landing pages up, and then they were like, you should put the inventory on there, like, a website.
Right.
And for the last, whatever it is, the dealers have been operating in the digital space, everything digital has been focused around conversations and the web property side, right? And yet we've always had the DMS and the desking tool and all of the things that are like historically dealer systems, yet they aren't associated with digital. And that's changing dramatically right now.
I mean, it's like, what a novel idea. The more connected our systems can be, the more connected we can be.
Wild stuff.
I know. It's like we're in the future all of a sudden.
We're in the future. Well, today we are talking a lot about how that is connecting the car buying experience, because the reality is like digital is not just for everything that happens online. Digital is consuming all of purchasing, servicing, communication. It's not just email. It's everything that we do is built on digital ecosystems. And we've got a dealer and an industry partner today that are really trying to solve the problem of not just the online issues of consumer journeys, but also the in-store issues of consumer journeys, and really connecting the actual retail experience that we still see as 97% of people buying in stores, and connecting that to the way that we interact digitally all the time. So without further ado, we have Danielle Mills-Walden, Regional Manager of Customer Success for Upstart Auto Retail, and Lou Tillahoon, General Manager of Orange Park Mitsubishi. Let's get them on the show, Cirillo. Enough for you and me. There we go. They're coming in hot. Look at that. Danielle, Lou, thanks for coming.
How's everybody
today? Oh, we're great. We're great. I'm excited about this conversation. Let's see. We're going to start with Danielle, and then we're going to go to Lou on just give us like the quick background, the 30-second short and quick on who you are, what you do, and then give us what you ate for breakfast this morning.
Ooh, okay. Well, that's a new one. Okay, 30 seconds. So was a retired professional tennis player, got out of that, moved into the automotive space, was always on the vendor side of things, but have been in digital retailing almost 9 years now, working with dealers all over the country. I live in Miami. I have a lot of energy, and I ate, this is not that exciting, vegetables for breakfast. I love veggie plates, so I keep them nearby. I snack on that. That's what I like to eat in the morning.
Wow, that's strong. All right, Lou, let's get to know you.
So I'm Lou Tillahoon. I've been in the car business for the last 23 years. I started as a telemarketer, kind of worked my way up to become a GM. I work at Orange Park Mitsubishi, which is part of the Hanyata group, and I had oatmeal for breakfast, so I'm ready to go.
There you are. You're ready to go. He's got all those carbs up in there. Awesome. So, real quick, Luke, give us a little bit of the background of your store. Give us an idea of like, the store makeup, the size, like what you do from a retail and servicing perspective. That way people can wrap their heads around, what you've done to change, and just so like the overall what your store is made up of, brand, all that.
Awesome. So we are, like I said, we're a Mitsubishi franchise. We average on the new car side somewhere around the 50 to 60 new cars in the last year. That kind of puts us in the top 20 in the country. We obviously have a full service and parts department. And quite frankly, since we've been using Upstart, there's a couple of things that really, really helped us to actually take our game to the next level, which is our customer satisfaction is on the top 10, and really helped our reputation score with customers also, not only on the sales end of it, it really helped us in the whole customer experience in general for the stores. So.
That's awesome. So when you look back and you've kind of been, moving into this new world of like a digital showroom, like take us back 3-4 months prior to finding a solution that would enable you to give that experience to your consumers. What was the heart behind, hey, I see things coming in the industry or in my store and need to get ahead of that? Where did some of like the impetus for change begin in your mind?
So I think you said it correctly. 23 years ago we had the DSMs, and then we went to the websites. And honestly, the very reason why I'm so excited about Upstart was this was the first time we can actually take that website and bring it into the showroom, where the customer that was on the website has the same kind of experience in the showroom. And Upstart really gives you that chance where the customer is still engaged while they're at the store. So we realized, I mean, as soon as I saw the platform, I realized this was the first time that I seen where a system is beneficial for the dealership from how we do our process, but also for the customer. So it kind of integrated both the customer and the dealership's experience at the same time. And honestly, this is, I mean, I've seen a lot of them, but never seen one where a customer's engagement in the dealership was just as much as they were on the website. So
So
as
let me
soon as
ask
we
you
saw
this.
that, we realized we really needed to go that direction. And quite frankly, also, yes.
Well, I was curious because this all sounds incredibly exciting, and we see the need for it, especially as consumer behavior moves deeper into the digital ecosystem. Was there any hesitation from your team's perspective? I mean, this is the car industry. It's like, well, but we've done it that way. We've done it a certain way for 100 years. Was there any hesitation on your team's part? And if
Yeah.
so, adopting this program, if so, how did you overcome that with them?
And you know what? You brought up a very good point, and I thought it was going to be an issue, but we forget our salespeople are millennials. They are actually were more starved for technology than
Mm.
I was. So when they saw the system and how simple it was, they were they're all, every one of them said, where was this? So for me, it made me realize that not only the consumer but our employees were also starving for technology, and Upstart really gave us that chance. So there was really, and I'm sure Daniel can speak more about my store. There hasn't been any hesitation. It was almost they were thirsty, and somebody gave them water, and from day one, there hasn't been any type of trouble whatsoever.
In a world where like right now, it's interesting because recruiting in our industry is probably one of like the key items that is being talked about, like finding good people, finding young talent to replace talent. And this is almost like what I'm hearing you say is it's a value proposition to be enabling our teams to use newly adopted tech, right? So like whatever the tech is, I use this example. I'm like, you know, you got a college student in 2017, let's just call it back 6 years ago, right? And they were required to have a MacBook, right? Required to use G Suite, probably required to use some task management tool, probably required to build some level of like their own tech in some business class, code something, right? And then we slap them in a car dealership. We're like, here is higher gear. I hope nobody, if you've ever seen higher gear CRM, you know what I'm talking about. Here's higher gear. And also when we promote you to manager, I know this looks like something from 1993. This is called a DMS and you're going to love using it. Right. And they're like, whoosh, right. And so now we're actually enabling people to have that experience. Danielle, are your teams experiencing that same adoption? Because change is hard, no matter like whether it's millennials or what. It doesn't matter. Change is hard. Are you experiencing that same level of adoption across dealerships, or are there different scenarios that you're running into in the change management?
Yeah. So what we're seeing across the board is kind of like two different things. So number one, you have a dealer that's like Lou, who once he sees something, he sees the value, he immediately wants to get his store involved with it. And then they all buy in because the leadership from the top down is super bought into it. And then in other stores, you come in and you ask the team, talk to me about your sales process. And we're really big on being really flexible and really catering to whatever store's process is, whether you're one price, whether you're cradle to grave, internet sales, BDC, doesn't matter the kind of store. But what we find is if the store feels like in any type of way that this is going to change their process, sometimes the adoption isn't the same. But the key thing is having a tried and true DSM that's going to come into your store and really walk your team through it and handhold them to ensure that they're going to be successful. I know Lou can talk about when Sienna came in store and trained his whole team. They were so excited after the training. They wanted to immediately pick up the tablet and start going. And so much of that has to do with how the launch happens, how the process starts from beginning to end. And that's what we're really seeing. Really two different types, but whether you're fully bought in from the get-go and you drive it through your team, or you're a little hesitant because it's a little different, we kind of try to cater to either way and make sure they have a good experience.
This brings up something that I think about often, especially as it pertains to organizations and adoption of new systems or processes. Because I think, with organizations, we have to have our hands in so many different tools. You mentioned, they were anxious to pick up the iPad and get going and away they go. How do you help them? How do you help the dealers embrace the technology so that they are fully implementing it? And then I guess the backside of that, what are some of the results maybe that you could share with us as you've helped dealers fully implement the Upstart program?
Yeah, I would say the first impression is always the most important. So in the actual training and onboarding, when we're on site and we're actually training the store on how to use it, we don't just like lecture the salespeople like they're in college. No, we get the iPads in their hands. We have them role play with each other. We make it fun. We make them feel like they're doing something. And then by way of doing it, they really retain it. And then what we also like to do, which is really important, is stay there for multiple days. So it's not just like we're there for an hour and we're like, oh yeah, good luck guys, figure it out. They're going to put the iPads down. We're there for multiple days. We're basically seeing them as they're using it with customers. So if they do run into any hangups, we're there to assist them through that roadblock, and then they get the confidence to keep going. So the system is very simple. It's very seamless, but like anything else, when you're trying something new, the second there's any adversity with it, people are really quick to want to put it down. But what we really like to do is to ensure that they have the support needed that's there that can help them work through those issues. And to your second question, the results that we're seeing kind of across the country is the stores that we have that are truly adopting not only our online solution, which is awesome because we can start online, And when that customer comes into the store, into the showroom, and those teams are handing that customer an iPad and letting them kind of go through the process themselves, we're seeing that those stores are seeing higher PVR, they're seeing increased CSI scores. I know, Lou, you've experienced that yourself. The fact that the customer experience is so different when the customer is in control. But we as dealers and as a technology company, we've set the parameters for the customer to feel like they can do everything, but it's still controlled by what the dealer wants. So everybody wins and that transparency is there.
Yeah. So, Lou, I think one of the things that a lot of people are skeptical on is, and whenever they're looking at change, is like, is there someone that's gone before that can tell me like what are the stumbling blocks that I might come across when I make a change, like putting more power in the customer and the salesperson's hand, because that's what it feels like. It's like I'm releasing power from the sales manager or the finance manager because I'm giving them all the tools to kind of build their deal in this connected retail. What are like the stumbling blocks or the things where you were like, wasn't expecting that? Oh, that came up along the way as you guys were either transitioning or over this first year. Have there been like dips or missed parts or things where it's like, hey, just look out for this, or hey, I wish I wouldn't have made this mistake. We solved for it, but here's like, I've gone ahead of you, to others.
Honestly, it's mentally, as a general manager, was I ready to make a change? And once I decided that is where the store is heading, the rest of it, I think the platform for anybody that uses it, and in the car business, I can't tell you how really simple it is, and it's how so much dealership friendly it is to use. So from a stumbling block wise, I say it's. I think unless you get in your own way, the system kind of takes you right through the process. And if you are in the car business, you will take a look at the process and say, "Man, I mean, this makes sense," And it looks to me like by the time when they rolled it out, there was a lot of things that was, I think, as they say, the kinks were out. The minute we used it, to be honest with you, we have not looked back. It really, really, it made sense to us, but that's because we were receptive to it. I think making sure you are receptive for the change. Change is coming in our business. The old days of, sitting down in front of the customer, those days are gone. Change is coming, and the more you make it easier for the customer, the better off you'll be. And this right here really is where I see the business is heading.
Real quick, just if you're listening and you're on the live stream here on the webinar, if you head over to the right hand side of your screen, you can click on the session chats button and then hit ask the speaker a question. We'll have a brief Q&A session here at the end. So if you do have any questions for Lou or Danielle or myself or Michael, please feel free to put those questions right in there and we'll get to them live. I do have for Lou again, when you think about the next phase, because you say like change is coming for your store, change has already come. For the next phase of you giving a better customer experience, what are you looking over the horizon for right now to say, hey, this is how we're going to continue to win in the next couple of years?
So yeah, I'm not sure if I heard you clearly, but let me. I think what you're asking is how does this help in the next couple of years? I tell you, one of the biggest thing in our store is it really cut back the time that the customers spend at the dealership. Just because from the time they got here until they leave, they're interacting in the process. So a typical deal that normally takes about 2.5 hours, we really cut it back almost by half in doing so because salespeople are not congregating in the sales manager's office anymore. There's a lot of process in this system. You have the ability to chat live between the salesperson and the sales manager right there and then. If they have any question, they don't have to walk back to the office. There's so many things that so a lot of time what we're hearing now is customers that leaves if they haven't bought a car, they actually come back and say, "Man, what an experience here that they had with us," and they come right back and say, "Man, I love your experience." And because of that, we get a lot of good reviews, which helps our reputation score. But I think what we're seeing is we're really cutting back the time that the customer is spending at the dealership from the time they got here until they actually decide to purchase the car. And they're extremely engaged from the minute they get until they leave. So it helps us in both scenarios.
Okay, so I'm dying to know, Danielle, this question for you on the back of what Lou's talking about here. Obviously, there are all sorts of changes happening in the industry, lots of evolution, lots of conspicuous conversations, if you will, about where things are going to land. But I'm always curious when I get to ask someone with your vantage point, where you can kind of see the scope of the battlefield, if you were, from a higher level. What are some of the things that you're paying attention to from your vantage point in where you see the market going and where customer mindset or behavior is headed?
Yeah. So Lou spoke on it a little bit when he was talking about his team, but I'm definitely seeing it is that customers are wanting a different experience overall. We're seeing that the millennial and the Gen Z buyer, they're not going to tolerate the way that dealers have been operating in the past, doing a Foursquare or things on paper and that whole like, let me hide it and, bait and switch. All of that is just not going to work anymore. And the consumer is really going to be dictating what the future is going to look like. And what Upstart is doing is just really empowering the dealer to be transparent and to allow like customers to see more and put it in their hands. And that's something that customers have not experienced before. So it's just such a different experience for them that they want to share it with their friends, their family, and tell people about that experience. Because in all other industries, whether it be like insurance or mortgage or real estate, like the customer is empowered with the information, and in auto, that's now going to be a thing moving forward. So we're definitely seeing that as a big change. But another thing is the fact that like, because interest rates are going up, and the fact that, the macroeconomics, everything is kind of uncertain. That's been a pain point and a challenge that dealers have faced. But just being transparent with what we're showing customers and what we have out there is allowing these dealers to retain customers that may go to the Carvanas of the world if they don't want a different experience. We're trying to arm dealers with the tools and technology to compete with and exceed what they're getting from some of these other competitors in the space that are trying to just disrupt. So that's kind of what we're seeing.
Two things just as a call out. I love that you used the word tolerate. They will not tolerate. Second thing, wait, you mean to tell me it's not pronounced gens? Just kidding.
Well, and I'll also say, like, the first time that I used Apple Pay with my watch, I told like 6 people about it. I was like, it was the coolest thing. I just went up, bop, 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 hit the Apple Pay, and that's all I had to do. And so I think you're right. Like, people are going to get in that same mode where they're just saying, you'd never believe the way I got the opportunity to buy a car, and it'll become a referral maker out of everyone. Well, Danielle and Lou, thank you so much for joining us on this webinar. Thanks to Upstart for helping us out. And if you want to know anything more about what Upstart is doing in the auto retail space, you can head to upstart.com/dealers, or just hit them up, dealers@upstart.com, and they would be glad to share any answers or questions. We'll be sending out a recording of this, so if you did miss it or want to share it with anyone, you certainly can. As always, myself and Michael Cirillo can be found anywhere your social medias happen, except for on Threads. Well, maybe Cirillo can, but I can't. And we've had a great time hanging out with Danielle and Lou. Lou, congrats on the continued success.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for having us. This was awesome. Until next time.
Absolutely. Awesome. AMJ, we'll flip it to you.
All right, everyone. Thanks again for being here. We've enjoyed it. We hope you learned a lot. Like Kyle said, we will be sending out a recording, but also if you want to check out this webinar or send it to all of your friends before that happens, you'll also be able to see it on our website shortly. Go to ASOTU.com and check out under the webinars, under the media tab. Sorry about that. And you can see this and others. So thank you so much again. And we hope you'll join us for another webinar in the future.